As usual, this place is just about filled. A very loud and tough environment for an opponent. Minnesota and number 2 Penn State. Down below amidst all the noise is Don McPherson. Donnie?
Hey, Rich, Penn State may have the marquee players on defense, but Minnesota has the #1 ranked defense in the Big Ten, giving up only 13.5 points a game. Their leader, the biggest little man in college football, their strong safety, Tyrone Carter. Believe me, he's only 5'9", but he brings the heat. He needs only 6 tackles to tie the lead in NCAA for all-time tacklers as a defensive back. This is going to be a tough, hard-hitting football game. 2 great defenses.
Thanks, Don. I think Glenn Mason would like to see Tyrone Carter in the backfield of Penn State an awful lot. He blitzes a bunch, and we'll see it today. Joe Paterno. Boy, where do you start with this guy? 400th game for Paterno, 34th year as the head coach, 50th year as a member of this Penn State football program. And we've really lucked out on the weather. Gorgeous afternoon, a little bit of a wind. We'll see if that affects one team or the other. If it does, it would probably affect Penn State, who throws the ball more than Minnesota. Penn State won the toss and deferred. Travis Forney with the kick. And it's Carter at the 5. Carter to the 15-yard line. And the Golden Gophers, who are at 5-3, get the first possession. Billy Cockrum is a senior. Gino Torretta, he's effective on the move, and I think he's really going to have to do that today with Misters Arrington and Brown chasing him all over the field.
He has to do that on the move and has to throw the ball a little bit better this week. He was banged up this week, did not practice until Thursday, so let's see how that affects him early in the ball game.
This Minnesota offense is an interesting hybrid of a spread and a speed option. They'll use a one-back. Cockrum is obviously the key, as is this man, Thomas Hamner, across the 15 to the 16. It's a gain of 1. The Gophers offense, 4th in the Big Ten. Ardell lineups, Hamner in the one-back set behind Cockrum. They both have great game-breaking speed. The 3 receivers you'll see, Luke Leverson, probably the biggest of the big play guys. He doesn't have a touchdown this year, 26 catches. When you play Penn State's defense, the edges are important. Keep your eye on Adam Heyer, the left tackle. He's going to have Mr. Arrington and Brown most of the day. And Hamner finds his way out to the 19-yard line. This Nittany Lion defense, 3rd in the Big Ten, giving up just 310 yards per game. They're very good up front. Brown is just amazing. Joe Paterno, as Gino alluded to, called him the best defensive lineman he's ever had here. Brandon Short doesn't get many headlines because Arrington steals them, but Short is the leader and the captain of the defense. And in the defensive backfield, Ascari Adams has 3 interceptions. This Nittany Lion defense has 12 picks on the season. On 3rd down, Cockrum to the air. Has his man. It's caught at the 25-yard line. Luke Leverson with the catch. 1st down, Minnesota, and very important for the Gophers to complete their first pass.
Definitely. Minnesota is coming up. Penn State defense is coming up. They're putting 8 men in the box, and they're saying, Minnesota, throw the football. We're not going to let Thomas Hamner beat us running. We want to make Cockrum throw the football.
A 9-yard completion to Leverson. A rare 2-back look from the Gophers. Hamner. Courtney Brown got him. How do you account for Brown and Arrington at the same time?
It's awful tough. When they line up Arrington and Courtney Brown on the same side, you're talking about 2 of the best defenders ever in NCAA football history. Let's say what Minnesota has to do today to win this football game. They have to stay with Penn State early. The Penn State's outscoring teams 69-20 in the first quarter, and they have to be balanced. They have to throw the ball 50% and run the ball 50% of the time.
Hamner is stuffed. Justin Kirpakis, one of the unsung heroes of Jerry Sandusky's defense. Kirpakis, Mac Morrison, Jimmy Kennedy, guys that don't get a lot of the notoriety because Arrington and Brown steal it so much. Sandusky's in his 32nd and final season as the defensive coordinator for Penn State. And don't you know, he'd like to have a 3rd down and 15 to call all day long. On the draw, Hamner to the 31. It's a gain of about 6. But not enough for the first down. Derek Fox made the stop.
Rich, Penn State has the best talent of any team in the Big Ten Conference. Besides those keys, Minnesota, they essentially almost have to have a perfect ball game today to upset Penn State. And that includes special teams. They can't afford any mistakes on these special teams today.
Ryan Rindles, the Minnesota punter, and he just gets it off. A wobbler down the sideline. It's out of bounds. And the Nittany Lions will have outstanding field position at their own 43-yard line. Just a 25-yard punt from Rindles, the senior, out of Coon Rapids, Minnesota. Kevin Thompson is a big kid and a tough kid. A fifth-year senior, 6'5", 222. He has thrown the deep ball exceptionally well this year.
He's thrown the deep ball exceptionally well, and he's a student of the game. Paterno told us yesterday, the reason he starts, he's a student. He's very detail-oriented in this football.
Thompson to the air. And going deep. Fields broken up. Incomplete. Willie Middlebrooks on the coverage.
What a play by Middlebrooks. David Gibbs has told us this is the third time we've seen Minnesota this season. Middlebrooks is their best cover corner. They know he can cover anybody in the country. Just a play-action fake by Penn State and trying to get Shoppy Fields down the middle on a post. Middlebrooks stride for stride with him, and look how he gets the hand up without any contact with the Penn State receiver. That's an outstanding play.
Second down and 10. Eric McCoo across midfield, close to the first down. Delvin Jones knocks him out of bounds. The Nittany Lion offense is heavy on pass, not so strong on the run. McCoo is averaging 64 yards per game. He's a sophomore out of New Jersey. On the outside, Shoffey Fields is certainly the star, but Eddie Drummond is the up-and-comer, just a sophomore, 21 catches and a pair of touchdowns. This offensive line flip-flops, and it puts a lot of pressure on a walk-on true freshman, Joe Iorio, the only walk-on freshman to ever start in Joe Paterno's tenure here at Penn State. McCoo had enough for the first down. Thompson again to the air. This one is caught by Drummond. Close to the first down. He's got it at the 34-yard line. Jimmy Wyrick made the hit. David Gibbs, just 31 years of age, is a young defensive coordinator. This defense, strong up front and a great pass rusher in Karan Riley. 11 sacks on this season. That's second in the Big Ten Conference. Rugged linebackers. Mesro will blitz a lot. He has 9 sacks. The stars of this defense, though, the safeties. We told you about Tyrone Carter. Delvin Jones has 70 tackles this year, second on the team. Another 10-yard pickup, another Penn State first down. Fields in motion. Thompson with time. Caught. Corey Jones, 22-yard line. And Kevin Thompson right now is slicing up the best defense in the Big Ten Conference.
Rich, Penn State's been relying on the big play, but early on they have to get McCoo going like the first run that he ran. That'll open the play action that they've just unveiled on that last play. They need to run the ball and sustain these drives.
Fields in motion. McCoo is inside the 10, and he's down to the 6-yard line. Tyrone Carter made the stop. 16 yards.
Rich, Minnesota comes up. They're selling out. They're going to blitz. They're bringing everybody and anybody. What that does, all you need to give is McCoo a crease. He makes one guy miss, and he's off to the races. That was Delvin Jones, and he's a very sure tackler. Carter has to come up and save the touchdown and tackle him inside the 5-yard line.
That's a good point, Gino. To be successful, Minnesota's safeties must make plays today. Caramelli, the big fullback, is in. Touchdown, Penn State.
I think the Penn State offense wanted to come out and make a statement today and say, hey, we can run the football. We still are The same old team you're used to seeing for Joe Paterno's 50 years here. They want to run the ball first and throw the ball second.
Glenn Mason and Joe Paterno are pretty good friends. Paterno has an awful lot of respect for Mason. Talked glowingly of him yesterday. Forney with the extra point. Mike Caramelli and the Nittany Lions are on the scoreboard first. Penn State 7-0 over Minnesota. And they're all pretty darn happy in Happy Valley because Penn State's on top 7-0. The Nittany Lions, an impressive opening drive. Travis Forney to kick off. Tyrone Carter is deep, along with Tellis Redmond. And it's Carter, 5 yards deep, lost the football. Redmond has it, and he has to bring it out. Not a real good start for the Golden Gophers.
Not a good start. They can't afford mistakes like that on special teams. It pins them back inside their own 10. Minnesota doesn't want to have to go 90 yards every time they get the football in order to score. And like you mentioned earlier, Rich, that's a win factor. I think there must have been a gust. Tyrone Carter, very sure-handed. I think there was a gust of wind that made the ball carry a little bit farther.
Now Billy Cockrum will have to battle the Nittany Lions and the noise. Hamner is out of bounds. The 14-yard line, a 5-yard pickup. Much was made of Thomas Hamner's fumble here 2 years ago in '97. It was a 15-10 ball game at that point. Penn State was #1 in the country. Hamner fumbled last week against Purdue. That was the first time Hamner had fumbled since that '97 game, Gino. Very,
very sure-handed. And mistakes happen in a football game. A quarterback's going to throw an interception, a running back's going to put it on the ground. Just want to try to limit them as much as possible.
Here's Hamner across the 15, out to the 16-yard line. LeVar Arrington made the stop. Minnesota really wanted to limit the 3rd down and longs. They wanted 3rd down and 3, 3rd down and 2, and they've got one here.
And first down is very, very important. They have to pick up 2-3 yards on every first down to make sure they stay in 3rd and short situations.
Cockrum on 3rd down and short. That one was almost picked off. James Boyd almost had his 3rd of the season. And we almost had a 14-0 ball game.
Penn State's coming up. They're bringing 8 men in the box. They said, throw the football, Billy Cockrum. He does. But James Boyd says, you're not going to throw that little hitch route because I'm going to take that away. So look for Minnesota. They got to throw the ball a little bit downfield more.
Rendell's had just a 25-yarder on his first effort. Branch, very dangerous. Outside Minnesota territory. The Nittany Lions are off to a fast start. They lead it at home 7-0.
And the snow emergency is still in effect. In other news, the market rebounded today.
Ooh, the market. Gene, buy one of them tech stocks. Shake it off.
No, invest in pork belly.
No! Dump your money in plastics.
While you're buying things, why don't you buy me some legs?
It's time for E-Trade. Visit E-Trade today and guess the year-end Dow for a chance to win $1 million.
I'd like my spleen back, too.
I don't know where it is.
The rugged Montana from Pontiac. With not one, but 2 sliding doors. Something handy for whoever's passing through. Life is more exciting in Montana.
Did you remember the milk?
Mom, Dad, if I'm paying rent, I gotta have a better breakfast than this.
Mark, I know there's some dietary restrictions at the table, but no way.
What would you like, Mark?
Potatoes, sausage, eggs.
Would you like me to serve that to you in a nice warm skillet?
That would be great.
What does this look like? A Holiday Inn?
Want a better breakfast? Try our award-winning Best for Breakfast menu at today's Holiday Inn.
7-0 Penn State on top. About a 20-mile-an-hour wind right now. In-state college. Don McPherson, is that a factor on the field?
Well, Rich, it is a factor, but it's a gusty wind. If you look at the goalpost flags, they're not moving, but down on the field, the wind is gusting, and it's gusting across the field.
Gino, you were right on that kickoff that Carter mishandled that. Thompson. Caught. Shafi Fields. First down, Penn State. 11 yards on the completion.
Rich, Frank Gancher, the offensive coordinator for Penn State, is really mixing it up here. He's running a little few play actions. Had some success with McCoo running the football. That's going to open up the play action, but I really like how he's calling this football game early in the game.
Ganter, 29 years as a coach here at Penn State. 15th year as the offensive coordinator. Saramelli, the fullback. On first down, he's down to the 32-yard line. Sean Hoffman, the middle linebacker for the Gophers, made the stop.
What Penn State needs to do, they just really have to play up to their own ability because they have the talent, but they have to limit turnovers and penalties. They have 19 fumbles and 10 interceptions this season, and they have to continue to keep making the big plays that they've been making to win this football game.
Thompson for Jones. And it looked like Jones cut off his pattern at about the 5-yard line.
Rich, that's a tough pass to complete, especially with the gusty wind, a post corner route. But early on, Penn State has thrown 3 times at number 30, Jimmy Wyrick, the cornerback for the Gophers.
He had a foot injury and missed all of last year, and he is just getting back to what the Gophers feel is his speed and his ability. On third down and long, Thompson hit, and he gets the pass off somehow, and it's incomplete. How strong is Kevin Thompson that he can have Karan Riley wrapped all over him and still get that ball off?
Very big quarterback, 6'5". Karan Riley breaks free through the offensive line of Penn State, but Thompson will show his strength, gets hit, and still able to get rid of the ball. And I think Karan Riley, Coach Gibbs told us he was a little bit disappointed with his performance last week against Purdue. I think he's coming out here early on and making a statement.
Gino, the ability for Thompson to get rid of that football keeps Penn State in field goal range, albeit long distance field goal range. Travis Forney's career long is 50 yards against Minnesota last year. This is from 50. He's got the leg, but not the accuracy. And Minnesota will get the football for the first time outside of their own 20-yard line. That's not a bad effort by Forney from 50 yards.
That was a great kick, and that may be where the wind may be a factor. Could have pushed it, just hits the upright dead on. Usually you see these balls ricochet off the upright one way or the other, but he hit that upright square about straight back.
Gino, that's 18 to 20 yards of carry to it.
It probably was a factor for Petula even attempting that field goal.
Hamner up and over the 35-yard line, out to the 37. And Hamner is starting to get rolling a little bit. Thomas Hamner, a senior out of Hamilton, Ohio. LeVar Arrington will be his personal escort all around Beaver Stadium today. Cockrum on second down. Over the middle, it's caught by the tight end, Zach Vevey. Into Penn State territory. Vevey at the 44-yard line.
Penn State comes with the blitz. Billy Cockrum able to stand in there. No one covers the tight end, Beebe. That's a blown coverage, Rich. The safety has to come over. One of the other ones has to come over and cover the tight end, releasing up the field.
Penn State probably didn't see that in the films because Beebe had not caught a pass all year long until that one. Hamner on the carry. It'll bring up second down and about 7. Week 9 of the NFL season is coming up. Sunday Night Football tomorrow night. How about those Titans of Tennessee into Miami, into Geno's backyard to take on the Miami Dolphins? Monday Night Football on ABC. The Cowboys and Deion Sanders, Randy Moss and the Minnesota Vikings. ESPN and ABC, your exclusive home for primetime NFL football. The catch by Arlen Bruce, and he's inside the 35-yard line. Bruce has another Minnesota first down.
And Rich, Minnesota came out there with 4 wide receivers, no tight ends. They're going to have to pick and choose when they're going to run the facing team with Courtney Brown and LeVar Arrington. They're going to put pressure on the quarterback, and they're going to put it on him quick without a tight end.
Gophers on the move. Cockrum pumps and keeps. Great move. He's 10, he's 5, and he's out of bounds. Billy Cockrum. Anthony King made the stop, 29 yards on the scramble.
An outstanding run by Billy Cockrum. He pumps the ball. He's going to the right side. He's throwing the ball to his wide receiver. Sees he's covered, able to pull it down. That is so tough to do for a quarterback, and he has escapability to get upfield. Makes James Boyd, one of the safeties, miss. That's a super run by Billy Cockrum.
First and goal. Hamner off the right side. Arrington got him at the 3. It's a gain of maybe a yard.
Rich, like I said earlier, Penn State wants Billy Cockrum to show he can throw the ball and he can beat him with his arms and not his feet. Right there, he drops back, able to escape out of the pocket.
Minnesota adds a fullback, Brad Prigge, along with 2. Arrington almost got him, but he blew the play up. It's a 5-yard loss. And Hamner is down at the 10. It wasn't the LeVar leap, but it was pretty impressive.
Outstanding play. This kid, he's on everybody's highlight reel. Look at him. Just jumps over the fullback. Even though he doesn't make the tackle, like you said, Rich, he blows the play up. He disrupts the play in the backfield, able to let his teammates swarm the ball and make the tackle for the loss.
Third and goal. Cockrum to the corner, and it's incomplete. The Gophers will have to settle for a shot at 3 points. David Macklin, a first-team All-Big Ten pick, on the coverage.
And Billy Cockrum didn't give that play a chance to develop. His receiver may have come open a little bit later, but hey, when you're getting pressure put on you by Courtney Brown and Arrington every snap in this Penn State defense, sometimes that forces you to throw the ball a little bit early.
Dan Nystrom, a freshman from 27 yards. And the youngster out of New Hope, Minnesota, drills it. And a big moral victory for the Minnesota Golden Gophers, who take it length of field, settle for a field goal. Number 2, Penn State, at home, on top of Minnesota. Early on, it's 7-3. David Gibbs, defensive coordinator. Barrett's is playing right now, and that's kind of changed the momentum of this football game. Now the Minnesota offense from the Penn State 38. Cockrum changing the play. Hamner picks his way down to the 35-yard line. It's a gain of 3. Penn State in that first quarter came out firing, Gino. Their numbers were up early, quickly.
Came out firing early, but look at it. Very evenly matched game. Always 7 yards of difference between both ball clubs. And Minnesota's starting to get a little bit better field position, which is key for them.
Penn State scored on their opening drive. Hamner. And Hamner is down to the 30-yard line. He is short of the first down by 2 yards. This is a down and a distance now for this Minnesota offense that has been a problem today. Remember, Cockrum almost threw a pick on 3rd down and short. On 3rd down and 2, Gino, what's Glenn Mason thinking right now?
Thomas Hamner. Running for a couple yards. He is the workhorse of this offense, and he's the guy that's got him this far in the season.
Arrington might have been offside, and Cockrum will keep the football. He has the 1st down. The Gophers may get 5 yards out of this if LeVar Arrington was in early.
Rich, anytime you're in a football game where Penn State ranked number 2 in the country, Minnesota just out of the top 25, the longer Penn State allows Minnesota to stay in this ball game, the longer that Minnesota thinks, the more Minnesota's going to think, hey, we can beat Penn State. We're in this ball game. You know, they're the 2nd best team in the country. That's why good teams, you have to come out and you have to be firing and take a lead.
Offside on a defense, 5-yard penalty, enough for a 1st down.
2 years ago, when Penn State was number 1 in the country and Minnesota came in here and lost by a point, after the ball game, Joe Paterno went to the locker room and told Minnesota, you should have won the ball game. You deserved to win the ball game. You beat us today. Cockrum, lots of time, towards the end zone. Leverson, he got it! Touchdown! How did he make that catch? And the Gophers are on top, 25 yards. My goodness. Luke Leverson gets his 1st touchdown catch, or rather Ron Johnson, the touchdown catch, and the Gophers are on top.
Gophers are on top. What Billy Cockrum does on this pass, he throws it up down in the corner of the end zone. He gives his receiver a chance to make the play. So if he can't catch it, he turns in a defender, knocks it out of the defender's hands if there's a possibility of an interception. But Johnson comes up with a key touchdown catch there.
He was well covered on that play. Rindles. Extra point is no good. Nystrom misses. And the Gophers will have to settle. For this, Billy Cockrum. Touchdown Gophers. Return, setting up the Ron Johnson catch for the touchdown. Larry Johnson. And Johnson is hit. Flags go down. This game had all the earmarks of a Nittany Lion win early. Penn State took the opening kickoff, or rather their opening drive, went the distance, put it in the end zone. They'll lose yardage here. Then, Gino, on their next drive, they drove inside the 20-yard line. They were headed in again. What changed this game?
I think it's the defense of Minnesota. Their play is very infectious.
Eagle block in the back, on the receivers, 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
I think the intensity that they play with is very exciting. Let's take a look. Billy Cockrum makes a nice throw on the fade route down the left sideline, and Johnson makes a tough catch on the defender. A little bit of contact there earlier in the play, but the officials with a no call, so they're going to let him play this football game today.
Cockrum's 9th touchdown pass of the season. And now the Minnesota defense gets the Penn State offense backed up to the 10. Rashard Casey, his 2nd series. McHugh, big hole, out to the 20, 1st down, Nittany Lions. 13 yards on the carry. Tyrone Carter made the stop.
And Rich, this is the 2nd series we've seen Rashard Casey. Coach Paterno has no set formula of when he switches his quarterbacks. He told us yesterday, it's just a feel. Whenever I feel that I want to put Casey in the ball game, I'll put him in. When I want to take him out, put Thompson in, I'll take him out, put Thompson in.
Casey, a strong arm, too strong that time, and it's incomplete. Let's go down below. Don McPherson. Donnie?
Hey, Gino, you mentioned Minnesota hanging around in this football game. I talked to Coach Glenn Mason before the game, and the one thing he told his team was patience. Hang around, be patient, something will happen. As you look at the score right now, you can tell that these guys are being patient. Behind their bench, they seem a little subdued, but I think it's exactly what Coach Glenn Mason was saying. Be patient and something will happen.
something good will happen.
A 9-7 Minnesota lead. McCool in motion on 2nd and 10. On the draw, Aaron Harris, and Harris is smothered. John Schlecht made the stop.
It's going to put Penn State in another 3rd and long situation. These are not situations that any offense wants to be in, especially Penn State, because it takes your running threat out of the ballgame. You have to throw the football here to pick up this first down.
On 3rd and 14. The Nittany Lions have yet to convert a 3rd down today. Casey, here comes the blitz. Hits his man McCoo, and he's got a first down. A nice call and a good throw by Casey.
And Coach Gibbs, the Minnesota defense, came out there with their quarter package, and what that means, there were 6 defensive backs on the field and only 1 linebacker. Casey sees the blitz. McCoo able to beat his defender, makes a nice play and able to pick up some tough yardage at the end of that run. Here you see what a quarterback sees. You see Hoffman barreling down on him, able to be patient, find McCoo. McCoo picks up the first down for him.
Casey again steps up. Down he goes. Karan Riley with his Big Ten leading 12th sack of the season. To the studios, Reese Davis. Reese.
And Rich, between injuries and suspensions, it's a wonder Jerry DiNardo even has enough guys to play for LSU. But boy, Josh Booty getting it done against Alabama, finding Terrell Myers, and the Bayou Bengals on top of the Tide, 7-0. Sean Alexander did start in this game.
Well, today in State College, number 2 Penn State had a quick 7-0 lead. The Golden Gophers scored on their last 2 possessions to make it a 9-7 ball game. Rashard Casey at the controls for now. Another blitz. Casey flushed out and looking and running and diving to the 30-yard line. Despite Casey's mobility, Gino, it looks like Minnesota is still bringing the blitz.
Minnesota's bringing the blitz, but what they're doing, they're all staying in their rush lanes and making sure they don't give Casey a lane to run in. You see Schlecht just hanging around there saying, hey, we're not going to let you beat me on the outside. I'm going to be out here waiting for you. Able to just dive and only pick up a 1 or 2 yards there on the dive.
3rd down. Another blitz. Casey flags are down. Casey's throw is on the mark. It's caught by Drummond, and there goes Drummond. He's out of bounds. It may come back. The flag is down at the 23-yard line in an area where you would suspect holding.
Rich, one thing we heard from the Penn State coaches is last week after Minnesota faced Purdue, all their defense did is run nickel personnel. It means 5 defensive backs.
Holding on the offense. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Repeat 3rd down.
Penn State felt they weren't going to see a lot of that. They're like, well, we're not going to put a lot of validity in because we're not going to see a lot of nickel. They're not even seeing nickel. They're seeing 6 defensive backs on the field, what we like to call quarter personnel, 4 down linemen, 1 linebacker, and 6 defensive backs. David Gibbs very sharp, bringing the defenders off, bringing different looks, and that's what's going to mess up an offense.
And that's what's changed the tempo of this football game. You look at that first drive, and since then, Penn State has been unable to move the ball. Now on 3rd down and real long. McCoo, the draw. Out of bounds. At the 26-yard line, let's head to the studios. Reese Davis.
And Rich, while Penn State's in a struggle, next week's visitors starting to stretch it out. Michigan against Northwestern. Tom Brady, little play-action fake, and lays it in there beautifully to Marcus Knight, 45 out. 13-0 Wolverines on top of the Wildcats.
Reese here, Penn State is forced to punt again. Pat Pigeon. Leverson. Luke at the 28. Straight ahead. And he goes down at the 39-yard line. Great field position for the Minnesota Golden Gophers, who right now are golden. Up 9-7 on the road. Literally and figuratively. LeVar Arrington will sit this series out. Minnesota has moved the football. Courtney Brown is still in. The Gophers from their own 40. Thomas Hamner. And Hamner rips off a big one. He's across midfield. Hamner is in Penn State territory, down to the 37-yard line. 18 yards on the pickup.
Rich, and as soon as Arrington came out of the game, they give the ball to Thomas Hamner. He rips off a run for 18 yards. All the rest of the runs, Arrington's in his face 2 yards downfield. So maybe Minnesota trying to take advantage of it. But trying to find out why Jerry Sandusky is taking Arrington out of the ball game.
On 1st and 10 now. Hamner straight ahead. And Hamner popped pretty good and dropped at the 34-yard line. Derek Fox, the strong safety, came up to make the hit. Second down for Minnesota.
You mentioned it earlier, Brandon Short, who's often overlooked in this defense, but he's a heck of a middle linebacker. He's their leader on defense, kind of the coach on the field for Jerry Sandusky and the defensive coordinator.
Cockrum, it's the first option we've seen. Cockrum is down to the 30-yard line. It'll be third down and about 5. And Arrington is coming back in the ballgame. Jerry Sandusky is not afraid to get in the face of a guy like an Arrington or a Courtney Brown. When you've been here 32 years and you've seen the likes of the defenders that Penn State has produced in the NFL Hall of Fame, you're not intimidated by an Arrington or a Brown. Blitz is coming. Hamner on a draw is tripped up. Brown, the senior.
Rich, and one thing I liked in talking with Sandusky yesterday, all he said was, hey, these guys are kids. You know, they're kids. They love to play football, and they're having fun here at Penn State. Doesn't matter how famous they're getting with Brown and Arrington. They're still young kids that they've seen grow from their 18 years on.
Minnesota will go for it on 4th down. Hamner on the draw. Hamner very close. Very close. We'll wait on the spot. This spot is so close that no one's pointing. You know, normally one team points and the other team points. No one's pointing yet.
An aggressive call by Steve Loney, the offensive coordinator by Minnesota. But I like the call because, hey, they're inside the 30, probably feel they're not going to have a chance to get inside there very often today with the likes of the Penn State defense. So why not go for it on 4th and short?
Wow. Wow.
It's a game measured by yards, but that was only an inch or two that they didn't pick up.
So a gutsy call by Glenn Mason. I think his team feeds off that, Gino. I mean, Mason is not a guy to back down from anybody.
No, it's an aggressive play call, and I like it also because Minnesota's defense, how well they're playing. Just barely. Thomas Hamner barely not picking that up.
Brandon Short, the middle linebacker, made the stop. Kevin Thompson is back in, and Carter hits him. The pass is complete. It's caught by Gilmore, the tight end. 35 yards, despite Tyrone Carter on his back. Kevin Thompson throws a strike.
And I think he must have felt Tyrone Carter coming out of the backside. Makes the play action, sets up, finds his tight end. But if he has a little bit more time to throw that football, his wide receiver's going right down the middle of the field on a post for one of the big plays that Penn State's been known for this season.
Mitchell. He's stopped by Aston Osai. Down below is Don McPherson. Don?
Hey, Rich, Arrington was out of part of that last series, and I went over and checked out. They just said they're giving him a blow. They're trying to rotate their linebackers.
That's a very diplomatic answer, I think. They'll mark this football inside the 40-yard line. Sandusky, of course, is retiring after this year. He's been the defensive coordinator since '77. He played here as a defensive end, 63 through 65. Thompson, he will scramble and puts the head down inside the 35-yard line. To the studios quickly, Reese Davis. Reese?
Rich, Billy Burke's been responsible for 8 turnovers in the Spartans' last 2 games, Michigan State against Ohio State, and Burke. This looks like what we saw early in the season, finding Plaxico Burress. Spartans up 10-0 in the second quarter on ESPN.
That's a team and a stadium, Reese, that Penn State will finish their regular season in, up in East Lansing. But right now, they've got their hands full with Golden Gophers. Third down, Thompson, pumping, throwing, Fields. Could not catch the ball. He lost his helmet. And there are no flags.
And who's the defender once again? Willie Middlebrooks. He's their best cover corner. He's all over Shoppy Fields on this route. The one thing, though, Rich, they're playing bump coverage. Penn State has the speed to go deep, but they're thinking like they're going to go deep, and then they're just breaking their routes, running curls, running out routes. Maybe a little bit of contact there early. But like I said on the touchdown pass, I think that's a pretty good play.
Well,
that's a pretty good play, Rich.
Pigeon with the punt. State will down it at the 3-yard line. The Nittany Lions don't get the call they wanted. They do get a nice punt out of Pat Pigeon. Minnesota, though, on top by 2. Minnesota is on the 3-yard line, their own 3-yard line, in the noisiest end of this stadium. Hamner swallowed up. Arrington with help from Jimmy Kennedy, the redshirt freshman. A busy day in college football, both on ESPN and ESPN2. It continues as it's 6 Eastern on ESPN2. Number 24 Arkansas against number 23 Ole Miss. On ESPN, Notre Dame against number 4 Tennessee at 7:30, and then Wyoming and Utah at 9 Eastern. That's tonight on ESPN and ESPN2. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Flags go down as Hamner is out to the 5-yard line. This might be a penalty that Penn State thinks about declining.
You have to consider if declining it because it'd only be half the distance and not the full distance of a holding penalty here. Penn State defense really needs to make a stand here in this ball game because their offense is struggling a little bit, so the defense needs to pick them up once again.
Holding on the offense. Penalty decline. 3rd down.
Penn State would rather have the down than the 3 yards they would get. So now it's 3rd down and 8. Here comes Arrington. Cockrum. Beebe couldn't hold it. He was open, and the throw was there.
That's the play they made a big play on earlier to Beebe. Beebe just couldn't make up with the catch. Should have came up with the catch here. You see Billy Cockrum makes a nice throw. Beebe hits him right in the hands. Just doesn't come down with it. And those are the kind of plays Billy Cockrum realizes. Those are the kind of plays we have to make to win this football game.
Now Ryan Rindles is backed up. Bruce Branch waiting this one. Branch to the 35-yard line. Excellent field position now for this Nittany Lion ball club. Minnesota on top, 9-7. Over number 2 Penn State. A very sunny and bright day in Happy Valley. 5.5 minutes left. First half. Kevin Thompson and the Nittany Lions at the Gopher 35. Cordell Mitchell to the 32-yard line. Karan Riley made the stop. Penn State does something unique with their offensive line. You don't see much of it, Gino. They flip-flop their line depending on the play call. They don't have a left tackle and a right tackle, a strong tackle and a weak tackle. What does that do?
Well, they don't even have a strong tackle, weak tackles. They have a field guard, field tackle, and then an into the boundary guard and tackle.
Chaffee Fields in motion. Mitchell again, left side. And Mitchell close to the first down. He'll be short of it. One thing it does, Gino, it puts a lot of pressure on Joe Iorio, the center for this Penn State team. He is a walk-on freshman, a true freshman. Sides of the ball, doesn't he?
He does. Besides flipping the guard and tackle, when the tight end's to the right, the one hole's to the right. When the tight end's to the left, the one hole's to the left. So Iorio has to know not only the formation, but what the number play is called and where the tight end is.
On 3rd and 3. Thompson's going to throw it. Dumps it out. It's caught by Caramelli, the fullback, and he's got a first down. To the studios, Reese Davis.
Rich, we've seen Michigan do it by air. Now they're doing it on the ground to Northwestern. Here is the A train. The Wolverines have bemoaned the lack of big plays in the running game. Here's one. Anthony Thomas taking it to the house from 60 out, 20-0. Michigan is cruising, and Kansas State on top of Colorado by a touchdown. Beasley to Morgan, 68 yards.
Rashard Casey watching this one. Kevin Thompson has directed the Nittany Lions down to the Gopher 17. Thompson to the corner, touchdown! Bryant Johnson.
Rich, and all of these play-action plays are set up by the Penn State having success running the football. They've had some success early on, so they run a nice little play-action fake, drag both of their receivers across the field, one low and one high, and Thompson able to find Johnson in the back of the end zone on a crossing route.
Penn State will go for 2. Minnesota was unprepared for this, and they have to burn a timeout. It was Minnesota that missed an extra point kick, and now it's a 4-point margin. We'll take a timeout as the Gophers try to regroup. Paterno. Penn State lined up like they were going for 2, and now, after further review, the Nittany Lions will attempt the extra point kick. In essence, it forced Minnesota to burn a timeout. Forney for a 5-point lead. And he drills it.
Maybe Fran Ganner was overruled in that by Mr. Joe Paterno on the call going for 2 and just kicking the extra point, Rich. Let's take a look. Thompson makes a nice play fake on a half rollout. Is able to find Johnson on the crossing route. There you see one receiver short, one receiver deep. And who'd they throw it on? Here you see Johnson crossing the field up top. And they threw it. They were attacking Jimmy Wyrick again. They've thrown at him a few times. I don't know if that's the guy they're gonna keep attacking. But like I said, Willie Middlebrooks is the better corner on the other side. So maybe they're attacking Wyrick.
When he was 23 years of age, Joe Paterno joined Rip Engel's staff here after a stellar career at Brown University. And he is still as sharp as you would. I mean, he's surprisingly sharp, Gino. You talked about him overruling Gander. He has his hands in everything here. He watches a ton of game tape.
And just very passionate about college football and coaching these kids. That's what's so impressive. I mean, to be 72 years old like Joe, he's going to turn 73 in December.
Tyrone Carter is a yard deep. He'll hesitate, and it cost him. He's out to the 13. We're down to the sidelines with Don McPherson.
Before the game, the 4 finalists for this award, the Lombardi Award, were announced. They are Corey Simon of Florida State, Corey Moore of Virginia Tech, and 2 players you're watching here today, LeVar Arrington and Courtney Brown. Now, ironically, the last time 2 players from the same school were nominated and finalists was right here at Penn State in 1978 when Matt Millen and the eventual winner, Bruce Clark, were finalists. If you look on this trophy, it says discipline because that's the quality that Vince Lombardi wanted in a ball player.
Hammer trying to get outside, and Arrington is all over him. Arrington seems recharged after his spell on the sideline. There's a look at your finalists. Corey Moore is a real headache to deal with, that the defensive end for Virginia Tech.
Rich, I think we have to point out what the Lombardi is. It's interior lineman award, best in the country. So that's going to take the defensive line, the 4 defensive linemen, and the 3 linebackers. That's why you see a defensive end and a linebacker, Arrington, on the same team nominated.
Second down. Hamner again. And again he goes down. Brandon Short made the stop.
Brandon Short. 3rd down.
You heard Don talk about the last time there were 2 guys from the same school. 2 pretty good defensive players, Bruce Clark and Matt Millen. There's a look at him. Back in 1979.
And Joe Paterno has already made his pick. He's saying Courtney Brown should win that trophy.
I would think that endorsement carries a lot of weight. Cockrum's throw is incomplete, and the Penn State defense is taking over this football game right now.
Rich, you're exactly right. Joe Paterno never likes to pub any one of his players individually, but he's already said Courtney Brown should win the Lombardi Trophy. Someone's got a problem that's voting for it, so he's made his choice.
Now Ryan Rindles. Penn State is going to have outstanding field position again. Pretty good kick, Branch at midfield. And he is stopped at his own 49-yard line. Quickly to the studios, Reese Davis.
Rich, coming up on the halftime report, we'll check in on everything going in on the Big Ten, not only bowl implications, but Heisman implications when Ron Dane and Drew Brees get together. Also, the Irish and the Vols get set to do battle in Knoxville, and we'll also check in on Kansas State, struggling against Colorado in a big-time Big 12 game. See you at halftime.
We've got it in our day timer. We'll be with you shortly. Penn State would like to do something before we get to Reese Davis and John Mackovic, though. The Nittany Lions scored quickly their last possession. Fields in motion. Thompson throwing, and it's caught by Shafi Fields at the 44-yard line. Short of the first down. Clock continues to roll.
And once again, Thompson able to sit in there and pressure, gets hit by the safety, Delvin Jones. Minnesota is going to bring a lot of pressure from their secondary, and Carter and Jones, the two safeties. But Thompson's a big enough player, big enough quarterback to be able to sit in there and deliver an accurate throw, even with pressure in his face.
That time, Cordell Mitchell goes nowhere. John Schleck makes the stop, and Penn State will have to burn a timeout with 1:43 left. First half, an interesting first half here. Penn State got off to a quick start. On a 7-0 lead. Minnesota had a 9-7 lead, and now the Nittany Lions are up by 5. College basketball season is just around the corner. Thursday on ESPN2, semifinal coverage of the Coaches versus Cancer, the Icon Classic from Madison Square Garden at 6:30 Eastern. Mike Montgomery and Stanford against Coach K and number 10 Duke. That's at 6:30 Eastern. Then UConn, the defending national champs. Steve Alford and the Iowa Hawkeyes. That's a new wrinkle in the Big Ten this year. That's at 9 Eastern. Coaches versus Cancer, the Icon Classic Championship. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network. Go.com. On Friday, the championship game.
Rich, and the reason Penn State calls a timeout there, less than 2 minutes, comes a critical 3rd and 5 situation. They want to make darn sure they have the right play called, and Thompson, the quarterback, knows exactly what Paterno and Coach Ganter are thinking where he should go with it.
Penn State has 2 timeouts left, as does Minnesota. Thompson trying to stay alive. And he'll throw it incomplete. Aston Osai, Sean Hoffman in pursuit.
Outstanding coverage by the secondary. Look at Tyrone Carter all over the tight end Gilmore. Doesn't give Thompson anywhere to go with the ball. But even off the ball, Choppy Fields went to block. Maybe that's a factor of having Casey in the ball game and Thompson flip-flopping at quarterback.
A wobbler that bounces back to the 28-yard line. So with 1.5 minutes left, as suffocating as Penn State's defense has been, Gino, Minnesota has 2 timeouts. Do they sit on the football or they try to move it?
I say they try to move it. Glenn Mason was aggressive in his 4th and short call. I think he's got to be aggressive here. He's down by 5. You're playing the number 2 ranked team in the country on the road in their house. Every opportunity Minnesota gets today, they have to try to score.
Two tight ends on 1st and 10. Hamner. Arrington made the hit and the stop. And it looks like the Gophers have chosen to run some clock and get to the locker room.
Well, I think if they pick up the 1st down on this 2nd and 7 situation, then it may be a situation where they say, all right, now let's run the 2-minute drill, but not to force anything here and give up the turnover deep in their own territory.
Hamner across the 35, and he's out to the 37. And Minnesota will not burn a timeout. David Gibbs and his defense trying to weather the Penn State storm. Headsets off. They're headed to the locker room. Our Buick halftime report with Reese Davis and John McAbee.
And I think an impressive half by both of these ball clubs. Well, I think Penn State has scored as much as they wanted to on offense, but they played very well on defense.
Hamner slips, and he'll go down at the 34-yard line. And this first half is in the books. Minnesota against number 2 Penn State and Joe Paterno. And the Gophers are right in at 14-9 off to Reese and John. On top of the Golden Gophers of Minnesota by a score of 14-9. Rich Waltz along with Gino Torretta. The Golden Gophers have come close to 3 big upsets. And they're coming close again. I guess it should be no surprise then.
No surprise. Their defense is playing outstanding here in the first half. Just have to put a few more points on the board. Billy Cockrum's got to throw the football a little bit better in the second half.
It was Penn State that came out roaring in this one. In fact, the Nittany Lions had a 7-0 lead on this. A Mike Caramelli run around the left side. This capped a 60-yard drive on their first possession. It was impressive. A 7-0 Penn State lead. But then Billy Cockrum comes back. Ron Johnson with a great catch in the corner.
Super catch in the corner. A little bit of contact there. Penn State comes back a few drives later on the crossing route play action. A nice throw by Kevin Thompson.
Bryant Johnson made the catch, and we're ready to go. Penn State will start it on their own 20-yard line. The numbers in this one, with Penn State a 14-9 lead. Some interesting stuff. The rushing yards. Thomas Hamner, along with Billy Cockrum, have racked up 93 first-half yards against Penn State. Are you surprised that Penn State is leading in total offense right now at 177 against Minnesota's defense?
I'm not, but Minnesota, what they have to do, they have to raise that passing yards up, because I don't think they can control the ball on the ground against this Penn State defense.
Kevin Thompson. Rashard Casey played 2 series in the first half. Thompson starts here in the second half. Just like in the first half. Play action going deep. Eric Drummond dropped it at the 40. On their first play of the ball game, Thompson on play action narrowly missed Shafi Fields. First play, second half, Drummond the target.
Drummond was the target. They're going after Wyrick again on the play action. A little bit of contact here at the end of the play, but I think Drummond just doesn't come up with the ball, sees it late, unable to make the catch there.
Second down, 10. McCoo. Minnesota defense has been good against the run all day long. Sean Hoffman made the stop. We check in with Don McPherson.
Hey, Rich, I had a chance to talk to both coaches at the half, and Joe Paterno told me exactly what you saw in that first play. Play action pass. They're going to throw the ball a lot more in the second half. He feels like he has a couple of pretty good runs he can go to. He was also very complimentary of Minnesota's defense. On this side, Glenn Mason said he's this close. He feels like he's so close defensively to getting to Penn State. They're going to keep the pressure on. Not much is going to change.
Good stuff, Don. And now a third down and long for this Penn State offense. Fields in motion. Thompson. Over the middle. Deflected, incomplete. Drummond was the intended receiver. Middlebrooks on the coverage. And David Gibbs certainly likes it. He is about as excitable a guy you'll find around this game. He is really a pleasure to be around.
Thompson took a heck of a lick on that last play. He's really putting pressure on these Penn State quarterbacks. That's what you have to do, and you're going to end up forcing bad throws like that last one by Thompson.
Almost blocked. In fact, I think it was partially blocked. It was. And Leverson will die with it right at midfield. 28 yards on the kick. The Gophers up to Pat Pigeon. I don't know if it was Tellis Redmond or Delvin Jones. It looks like Delvin Jones got a piece.
And we talked about it early. Minnesota has to play a perfect game. Delvin Jones just coming right through, shooting the gap there. If he'd have just dove with both hands, he might have got a little bit more of that piece of that ball, but a good play by Jones on special teams.
A great position for the Minnesota offense. Cockrum. He'll go deep. And it is incomplete, caught out of bounds. Jermaine Mays, the intended receiver.
Rich, one thing, anytime you run a fade route down the sidelines, it's just a deep takeoff. You have to give the quarterback room to throw the football. Mays, right on the sidelines, Ooh, that looks like it may have been a catch there.
That did look
questionable on when he had possession, though. We can't tell from there, so we got to say the official probably made a good call.
It's a tough call for the official, and that play happened so quickly. Hamner to the 48. There's a flag down right at the line of scrimmage. We got a chance to see that replay in slow motion. When that happens in real time, there's not a whole lot of time to watch the foot and the ball. This penalty's going against Penn State.
Well, what I was talking about, Rich, is the receiver has to give the quarterback room to throw the football. So if he throws it and misses it
On a
outside,
defense, 5-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
if he misses outside, he's able to catch the ball still in bounds.
Minnesota has yet to draw a flag. One more look, Gino. Let's see if he gets possession quickly.
There's the catch.
There's the foot. That's awful tough.
Close.
The bubble screen to Bruce, who somehow stays on his feet to get to the 40-yard line. David Macklin made the hit. That's an acrobatic play by Arlen Bruce.
Rich, I'm sure what the official saw there is he saw the ball hitting his hands, and maybe was trying to get control of it. Maybe the official didn't feel he had control of the football while he had the foot in bounds.
I know that, though. I don't...
Third down short. Cockrum sneaks it. I don't think he has it. And this will be fourth down and about a foot.
And if they don't pick this up, you have to look for Minnesota to punt the ball here. I would try to pin Penn State back in their own territory with how well your defense is playing. Take your chances with the side of the football that's playing the best, and that's the defensive side for Minnesota.
Gino, this third down and short has been a problem for Minnesota all day long. In fact, the last two times they've had a third and short or a fourth and short, Glenn Mason has had Cockrum keep the football.
Generally, it is a good play, quarterback sneak on short yardage, but when you have a defensive tackle like Jimmy Kennedy, who came to Penn State last year at 420, he's trimmed down to 330 now. It's a big fella to move inside there.
I was incorrect, Gino. I said a foot. It's about 2 or 3 inches. 1 for 10 on third down, and now they're going to be faced with a fourth down.
Probably look for the same play call here.
And remember, it was a missed fourth down by Minnesota that gave Penn State momentum that led to their second touchdown in the final moments of the first half. Hamner behind Cockrum. And Hamner has got it. He chose to go over right guard rather than go over his center, Ben Hamilton.
I think he more chose to go away from where LeVar Arrington was jumping over to center there and not necessarily picking a guard. Maybe that was a quarterback sneak away from Arrington on this one. Can't say that I blame him either.
Cockrum is coming to the sidelines. An injured Gopher on his way out. That's Josh Rawlings, the senior tackle. Eric Larson has replaced him in the Minnesota lineup on that offensive line. First and 10 now, Gophers. Hamner. Down to the 35-yard line. It's a 4-yard pickup. For the Big Ten's leading rusher in conference games, Thomas Hamner. He's just a shade higher than Ron Dane. Overall games, Dane is on top. Hamner is averaging 126 a game, and right now he's at 72.
And that was a successful play by Minnesota because Penn State was coming out all out on the blitz, and Hamner still able to pick up 4 yards.
27 carries is an awful lot. Hamner won't pick up nearly as many this time. Brandon Short, the senior middle linebacker, made the stop. He's the leader of this Penn State defense.
Hamner had a lot of success in all these Big Ten games that he's played in. Like I said earlier, Penn State has to contain him and make Cochran throw the football. Already with 27, 28 attempts now, averaging less than 3 yards a carry, Penn State defense is doing their job in containing Thomas Hamner.
1 of 10 on third downs. Here comes the blitz. Cochran's throw. Johnson catch, and he's got the first down. He's inside the 20, and Johnson, who made a great catch on the touchdown, is down to the 15. A 20-yard pickup. David Macklin made the stop.
And early on, they tried to run a few of these routes early, but the Penn State secondary able to break up the passes. Not able to get to Cochran. Just takes a 3-step drop here. A nice little stop route. Johnson able to make the first defender miss, and then Macklin has to come over and take him down inside the 20-yard line.
Cochran, quick shot, and Bruce is swallowed up by Ascari Adams. When Minnesota broke the huddle, Bruce was not covered, and Adams had to come out and claim him.
Rich, that's something. Whenever you have run a one-back system like Minnesota does, you come up in a 4 wide receiver set. That's a situation where even if you have a running play, I remember playing this system as a quarterback, you just have to give the quarterback a little eye and just get him the ball as quick as possible. Cochran audibles, lets the defender come over and cover his man.
Johnson can throw it, and he better think about it. He's going down. No, he stayed up. The official has him down at the 45-yard line. This is a monumental loss. $27-yard loss. Derek Fox caught Ron Johnson, who I think was going to throw a pass on that reverse.
Looks like a little toss here to the wide receiver. And Penn State, Fox is on the blitz. No one picks him up. And did his knee touch?
It was very close.
That was very close. Johnson almost came away, but not a good play call down there inside the 25-yard line.
It's third down and 40, and Arrington stops Hamner. What a huge play by Derek Fox.
Huge. You're in field goal range right there before that loss of yardage. Why do you try to fake the reverse? You're having some success moving the football, throwing it. Let's take a look and see if Johnson's knee actually comes down when Fox hits him. There you see Fox on top of him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I see a little grass blades over there. Nothing that the official could see, though.
No. That would be a sack. So Minnesota kept out of the end zone. Penn State still on top. Back to Happy Valley after this. Your Jopa Beanie Baby retails for $19.95, and that is the real deal. You know, after each game, he doesn't drive home. He walks home. Lives about 10 minutes from the stadium. McCoon. Minnesota's defense is playing. Boy, are they playing. Dyron Russ made the stop. Second down. The hard part for Joe Paterno is getting people not to give him a ride. Everyone stops and says, Joe, you need a ride? And he says, no, I'm just walking home.
And not only does he doesn't even take the night off. He goes home and every home game entertains about 40 people from the university.
Thompson with Carter chasing him. Gets it off, and it's incomplete. And we head to the studios in Reese Davis.
All right, Rich, Colorado and Kansas State. You know K-State always makes plays in the punt block game. It is usually by returning them. This time they blocked it. Adrian Beard is coming up with the block. Got a deep in Buffalo, led to a Joe Hall touchdown there on top of Michigan State. On top of Ohio State Buckeyes just got on the board. Touchdown pass from Belisari to Wiley.
Thanks, Reese. Here today, both defenses have played well. Right now, Minnesota is just playing very, very well. Third down, 12. Thompson throwing, caught for a first down. Eddie Drummond at the 38-yard line. How many times has Thompson completed a pass while getting hit today?
Quite a few, Rich, and you have to do that as a quarterback when you're facing a team like Minnesota that's going to pressure. They're going to try to bring blitzes. They run a little twist by the defensive line. Thompson able to stand in there and deliver a nice pass to Drummond. Pick up a long 3rd and 11 first down.
19 yards on the pickup. McCoo breaks loose, and he's off. And he's inside the 40-yard line. Ben Mesra made the stop.
And they're going to tack on another 15 yards to the end of that run on a late hit after McCool's already dragged out of bounds by Ben Mesra.
Eric McCoo, just a sophomore, and a big flag.
And these are things that Minnesota did not do in the first half. That's why they're playing Penn State tough.
Dead ball. Personal foul on a defense. Late hit out of bounds. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. First down.
They didn't have mistakes. They didn't have late hits. They didn't have a lot of penalties against them. That's why they're close. See McCoo just breaks through. He's into the secondary here. Mesra stays with it. Jones misses another tackle. There he's out of bounds. And just a late hit after he's already out of bounds.
Ceramelli couldn't hold that one. 2nd down and 10.
Thompson's had a few drop passes here in this football game. His receivers, tight ends, fullbacks included, have to start making some of these catches for him because he's standing in there tough.
Aaron Harris, the senior fullback, with a 6-yard pickup. Next week it is BCS Showdown Saturday on ABC and ESPN. On ABC, number 15 Michigan and number 2 Penn State. Then regional coverage on ABC, number 6 Kansas State and number 9 Nebraska. Number 1 Florida State against Maryland. And on ESPN, the Hokies of Virginia Tech against Geno's Hurricanes. Thompson swings it out. Caught. Larry Johnson. Inside the 5. First and goal, Penn State.
We've seen Minnesota run that bubble screen a few times earlier. I think Penn State took a page out of Minnesota's offensive playbook. You see Thompson just takes a couple steps, hits Johnson on the bubble screen, able to make a few tacklers miss and get inside the 5-yard line. Super effort by Johnson.
Johnson again. Straight ahead, Sean Hoffman, the first hit. A mark at about the 3. Significant that.
You want to be balanced in your attack, and Penn State's been that way. Frank Ganter, the offensive coordinator, has done an outstanding job calling plays here, mixing in the play action, throwing on first down.
Play action, Thompson. to the end zone. Incomplete. No flags. John Gilmore, the intended receiver. Tyrone Carter on the coverage. It's 3rd and goal now for Penn State.
One thing, though, I like about Coach Ganner's play calling is he's balanced, he's mixing it up, and when you have an offense that's relied a lot on the big play, he's been very patient in his play calling. There you see him on the screen. He's been very patient. He doesn't want to rely on that big play. If they happen, great. If not, we're going to still control the football.
Harris the lone setback. Thompson to throw. And he does, out of the end zone. And the Minnesota defense has kept the Nittany Lions out of the end zone. Penn State will attempt a field goal.
And a smart play by Thompson. No one open there. Minnesota defense blitz. They held. Hey, they had good coverage. Throws the ball out of bounds. He's going to let Forney come on and attempt the field goal.
Forney attempted a 50-yarder today, and he hit it. Boy, did he hit it. But the ball hit the upright about, I'd say about 15, 20 feet up the upright. He had a lot of leg in it. This is a mere chip shot of 20 yards. And he got it. So Penn State tacks 3 more on the board. Number 2 Penn State on top of Minnesota. 17-9 the score. Kevin Thompson paying the price. State on top of Minnesota. And LeVar Arrington right now and his Penn State defense about to get back to work. The Nittany Lions have scored first here in the second half. Tellis Redmond, Tyrone Carter deep. For this Travis Forney kick. Into the end zone, and it's a touchback. Well, we saw Kevin Thompson getting hit hard. Usually it's the Nittany Lions who hit opposing quarterbacks hard. Let's turn back the clock, shall we? Let's go back to 1992 when Miami was number 2 and Penn State was number 7. A young quarterback out of Northern California. Gino, look out, Toretta. They came after you often, and they hit you a few times, didn't you? You won the ball game, though. You got the W. 17-14. Very impressive. Now Cochran going deep for Bruce, and it's incomplete. Gino, you played this Penn State team twice. You beat them twice, but your ball game in here, you were hit a few times, weren't you?
Oh, it was tough. I mean, their defense, like I said, Paterno had them coached up. He had a different game plan than he had done all season, and they held our defense in check. Fortunately, our defensive end, Derek Cryer, was able to pick off a screen pass and return it about 40 yards for a touchdown for us to get the W up there.
Cochran. The throw is made to Leverson, and what a job by Cochran, who had to wait till Courtney Brown came down to earth before he threw that ball. Let's go to the Steelers. Reese Dennis.
Rich, here's the guy that we just don't get a chance to see as often as we should. Travis Prentice of Miami against Akron. He's going to go in from the 3, and with this touchdown to cut it to a 17-14 game, Travis Prentice ties Ricky Williams for Division I-A most career touchdowns. Needs 2 more on the ground to tie Williams for rushing TDs.
Thanks, Reese. Big completion by Cochran to Leverson of 15 yards. Hamner, a great move. And he's across the 40 to the 42-yard line. Now, we researched and got highlights of you, Gino. We tried to find highlights of Don McPherson. We couldn't find any of Don on his feet.
That's just cold, man. That's cold.
Were they in black and white, Rich?
I was on my feet, but, you know, not very long.
Were those films in black and white, Don?
No, they're not in black and white, Gino.
Hamner straight ahead to the 42. Hey, Don, I want to get your read on something. The crowd in this stadium can be a factor noise-wise. Minnesota has handled that pretty well today. How have they done it?
I think they've done it by just doing exactly what Glenn Mason wanted them to do, is keeping their heads in the game, staying focused with what's going on the field. And I think if you look at their sideline, you'll see David Gibbs jumping up and down, and he kind of balances out all the noise that fans make.
That's a good point. Third down short now. This has been a problem for the Gophers today. Here comes Arrington. Cockrum has his man. It's caught by Haas. Haas to 20. Haas to the 10, and he's down to the 8-yard line. Alex Haas, the senior tight end, 49 yards from Billy Cockrum. Arrington got there just an eyelash late.
And Rich, we just talked about the crowd. The reason the crowd hasn't been a factor, Minnesota is making big plays like this. A little play action. No one covers the tight end. They think Thomas Hamner's got that football, and Haas is able to stand in there tall, even getting contact by Courtney Brown and Arrington. A big completion there from Minnesota.
Hamner right side, inside the 5, and down to the 3-yard line. James Boyd and Anthony King made the stop for Penn State. You have to admire Minnesota. So every time Penn State makes a big play or seems to gather the momentum in this one, the Gophers just take it right back.
They do, and they've kept the crowd out of the football game, which is such a factor. 97,000 plus. This place is one of the loudest stadiums in the country.
Second and goal. Hamner won't get much, maybe half a yard. Justin Kirpakis. Gino, put on the headset here, the offensive coordinator headset. If you're Steve Loney for Minnesota, it's third and goal now at the 3. You put it in the air.
What I do is I run a play action fake to Thomas Hamner and run a little bootleg with Billy Cockrum, because that'll get him on the corner. He can run in. If not, try to find one of his receivers and put it off to it in the end zone.
Option look. Cockrum dives. Touchdown, Minnesota. It worked just as well. And Billy Cockrum has led the Gophers to within 2.
Within 2, and they're going for the 2-point conversion here to try to tie up this ball game at 17.
And they'll face almost an identical situation from the 3-yard line. Cockrum. Hamner dives, and did he get in? No. The official said he didn't. That was close. The Gophers get in the end zone, but only for 6. Glenn Mason's Minnesota Golden Gophers are within 2 of the number 2 team in the country, Joe Paterno's Penn State Nittany Lions.
Rich, kind of surprised with that play call. Minnesota comes out with 4 wideouts, still tries to throw the ball instead of running it.
Cockrum to Hamner. Cockrum himself. Touch Lenny Moore, who had the nickname Spats, NFL Hall of Famer, and Gary Collins, a couple Penn Staters back for homecoming weekend. Moore, of course, a great Baltimore Colt. 113 touchdowns, Gino, in the NFL. That's 4th right now, all time. Big 2nd and 7 now. Penn State at the Minnesota 27. And that one goes nowhere. It'll bring up 3rd down and 7 as well. John Schlecht made the stop for the Gophers. Penn State has run the football exclusively on this drive.
They're going to have to throw to pick up this first down. 3rd and 7. A big play, big situation for this Minnesota defense. They have to hold them here.
Rashard Casey throwing deep. Drummond can't hold it. It's incomplete. And Penn State will attempt to kick a field goal.
Rich, I just said a couple plays ago, Penn State has the speed with Shafi Fields and Eddie Drummond on the outside to go deep. They're going deep on Jimmy Wyrick again. And Drummond's able to get by him. Hate to see those. It just right off his fingertips there. A nice throw by Rashard Casey.
The 50-yarder hit the upright. 44 yards here from just about straight on. And he got it. Penn State adds 3 more. And the Nittany Lions have a 5-point lead over Minnesota. Down below, Don McPherson. Donnie?
Hey, Rich, it's homecoming, and you never know who's going to show up. 1994 national champion team. Kerry Collins, the quarterback. Off weekend from the New York Giants.
Yeah, it is. We got an off week, and you know, this is the first time I've been able to come back because every time we had a bye week before, it was always an away game. So it's great to be back and great to be up here, and it's you know, it's great to see this team playing well.
How's it feel? And again, with this team playing well, the 94 team, some say one of the best teams, Penn State teams ever. How do you compare this team?
Well, I think you know, I gotta say offensively, we were pretty explosive. You know, but you know, I think what we have in common is that, you know, we're both tight teams, and that they seem to be on a mission this year. So you know, I expect them to take it all the way. They got 2 more tough games, and hopefully they'll pull this one out. But it looks pretty good for them.
Thanks a lot, Kerry. Good luck to you.
Thanks.
Rich, we have another great player here, a Hall of Famer, Lenny Moore. Just a pleasure for you to be back here. Pleasure for us to see you here. How's it feel to be back at Penn State?
Isn't that nice of you? You know, I came back initially because I wanted to see Tor Toretti, who was one of the defensive coaches here when I was here. And he's in a nursing home. That was my main reason for coming back. Then I said, well, hey, because my schedule didn't allow me to come back. But then I could 2 birds. Here's actually homecoming, you know, until I called, because I didn't think I'd get back.
You're on the all-time NFL TD list. Great career in Baltimore. Where is your home? I talked to Art Donovan a couple weeks ago, and he said his home is in Baltimore. Where is your home?
In Baltimore. Yeah, all of us are here. Gosh, there's about 20 of us, you know, from that ball club that stuck around, you know.
How's it feel to be back?
Hey, let me tell you something, man. This is heaven up here. No, it really is.
Thanks very much, man.
Very nice of you. Thank you.
Billy Cockrum running through heaven to the 38-yard line. A 9-yard pickup for Minnesota will try to answer another Penn State score. Lenny Moore was a flat-out great play.
Anytime you score 113 touchdowns in the National Football League, you have to just admire him. He had a heck of a career, and now in the Hall of Fame for it.
Hamner, Arrington made a leap. He may have got a piece of Hamner, who is dropped by Fleischhauer a yard short of the first down. Third down and 1.
Looking like he may have a sore wrist or arm. Hopefully it's not broken.
Byron Evans is the backup running back, and he's in the ball game. Do you give him the ball on 3rd and 1? Boy, wasn't that strange, Gino. On 3rd and 1, it looked like Cockrum was just trying to draw Penn State offside and then call a timeout. And he's on his way to the sideline to talk to Glenn Mason. We're back after this. Cockrum has the first down. He dives across the 40. That's 4 consecutive 3rd down opportunities that the Gophers have converted. Change that thing.
Cockrum just comes down the line. Cockrum's on a speed option. I don't know if they even gave him the option to pitch the ball, since Hamner's out of the football game and said, hey, Billy, you stay with it and try to get the first down if you can.
Here's when Hamner was hurt. That left elbow, left forearm, almost pick off. A scary Adams was right on it. Luke Leverson was the intended receiver. That's twice now Cockrum has come close to not only throwing an interception, but throwing a 6-point interception.
Rich had hit the receiver right in the hands. You're talking about it could have been a touchdown the other way.
That was close.
I'm saying it should have been a catch for at least 5 or 6 yards.
Hamner at 89. But still on the sidelines, and Evans gets the carry, and he's out to the 42-yard line. Hamner's back in. But he's faced with 3rd down and 10 now. A 4-receiver set. Cockrum, quarterback draw. Cockrum, right on the sticks. Right on the sticks.
And a nice play call by Steve Loney, the offensive coordinator for Minnesota. Knows Cockrum, hasn't practiced Monday through Wednesday, started practicing on Thursday. Said, hey, we're going to take our chances. I'd rather have him try to run for the 1st down than throw for it. Line up, but they line up in a passing formation. Line up with 4 wide receivers on the field to throw off Penn State defense. She just takes his plan, takes a 3-step drop. Thomas Hamner leads the way. Almost turns into a lead play with the running back, with Thomas Hamner leads the way on the block.
Finally, a stretch of the chain goes the Gophers' way.
That 5 straight 3rd down situations that they picked up. And those are things that they need to do. This ball game, 20 to 15.
Gino, before those 5 straight, they were 1 of 10 on 3rd down.
And those, most likely, you're not going to pick those up very often against Penn State's defense. 3rd and long situation.
Cockrum, Hamner is open. Hamner the 20, the 10. He'll score. Touchdown, Gopher. 49 yards.
Rich, plays like that will definitely quiet this crowd down. But just as Don McPherson alluded to earlier, said, hey, Glenn Mason told his players to be patient and something good will happen. You hang around long enough against a great team like Penn State, and you keep feeling with every minute you're in the ball game that you can beat them.
The ability of Billy Cockrum to avoid Courtney Brown, really the key early on that play. And with the Gophers up 1, Mason will go for 2. Arrington coming. Cockrum's down and sacked. Courtney Brown got him. But the Gophers have a lead. Thomas Hamner from Billy Cockrum. The Golden Gophers on top of number 2 Penn State 21-20. Very, very quiet right now. Minnesota is back on top by a point. Eric McCoo to the 41-yard line. Great field position for Penn State. 7 plays, 71 yards. Cockrum to Hamner, the big one.
Let's take a look at the 2-point conversion. The last one, Penn State only had 5 in the box. They have 7 there, 4 D linemen, 3 linebackers, and Brown and Arrington to one side. So Cockrum stays with the throw, and they're not able to block Courtney Brown, one of the best defensive ends in college football right now.
It's tough to block Brown. It's tough to block Arrington, but when you got to block them at the same time on the same side, that's trouble. Rashard Casey in the ballgame. Bootleg. Casey chased out of bounds. John Schlecht. Minnesota has done a nice job of keeping Rashard Casey from making the highlight clips this week. He has yet to get one of those spinning scrambles for a big play today.
And I think right there, he's looking more to throw the football downfield. But the Minnesota secondary all over the Penn State receivers, not giving them a lane to throw in. It gives the defensive ends, Schlecht, Riley, Dyron Russ, and Michaels a chance to run him down and force him to the sidelines on that bootleg.
On 2nd and 10. Setting up a screen. Complete to Aaron Harris. Close to midfield. Where did he step out? Right on the sticks. I think he's got a first down. Down the sidelines near the Penn State bench, we find Don McPherson.
Well, Rich, those pesky Minnesota Golden Gophers won't go away, but on the Penn State sideline, they are very calm, very poised, very much like their coaching staff, very methodical. They're going to play their game, and they're going to play it to the end.
Joe Paterno's record in close ball games is just about unparalleled in college football. He's won close to 75% of games decided by 7 points or less in his career. That's where I think that coolness and calmness comes from. Cordell Mitchell over the right side, and Mitchell rips off a 13-yard run. First down, Nittany Lions.
And I'm sure the players realize that. They know that all this coaching staff, they've been here a long time. They know they've been in every situation. Don't forget, Rich, Penn State beat Miami in the last 2 minutes of the ball game, and they beat Illinois in the last 2 minutes of the ball game. So this team has already been in tight football games.
9-0, number 2 in the country. Mitchell. Hit by Ben Mesera, a gain of 6. Penn State is within the range of their field goal kicker now, Travis Forney.
The only thing that I wish that they do is try to go for the big play. I know they said they relied on it too much this far in the season, but when you have the skill that they have on the outside, and Shafi Fields and Eddie Drummond, they have the speed to get downfield, so why not take a shot at doing it?
Casey. Jones is after him. Won't get him. Out of bounds he goes. Aston Osai made the stop. Short of the first down. It'll be 3rd down and short for Penn State. David Gibbs, the Minnesota defensive coordinator.
And Aston Osai showing some outstanding speed, able to run down Rashard Casey there on the sidelines.
How about the big play, Gino? Minnesota's defense has to get some credit for keeping that big play away from today's game.
And that's probably why they're not trying to go for it, because the pressure that Minnesota is getting on the quarterbacks for Penn State, Casey and Thompson.
Mitchell straight ahead. I don't think he's got it. He's shorted it by a good yard. Dyron Russ made the stop. Penn State's bringing the field goal unit on.
And we thought Penn State was wearing down the Minnesota defense. But boy, the defensive line, the interior linemen, Dyron Rush and Slecht, making a nice surge forward and able to stop Penn State short of getting that first down.
To go for defense, 1st overall in the Big Ten, 8th in the nation. This is advertised today. Travis Forney, who just hit from 44, again from 44. And again, he is good. Lee Corso said it on game day earlier today. He said he liked Penn State because of that guy, Travis Forney. And he drills a field goal. It's a 2-point Penn State lead. 21. Number 2 Penn State on top of Minnesota. The Nittany Lion fans, 97,000 strong, have been quieted a bit here in the second half because Minnesota just won't go away. Penn State with a 2-point lead. Antoine Henderson from Minnesota, and he's hit hard at the 13-yard line. Later on today on ABC, lots of football for you. We start in the Big Ten. Number 10, Wisconsin. Number 21, Purdue. Texas A&M, and number 9, Nebraska. Joe Hamilton and Georgia Tech against Virginia. Washington and Arizona. It's ABC College Football regional coverage today. Starts at 3:30 Eastern. Check your local listings for the game in your area. Make sure you can see them all by ordering ESPN Game Plan. Joe Hamilton is from Alvin, South Carolina, small town. So is Courtney Brown. Hamilton, the Heisman hopeful. And Hamner over the right side to the 17-yard line. You know, I had a chance to see Joe Hamilton at Georgia Tech earlier this year, and he certainly is a talent. And Courtney Brown is as well. In a town that's only 800, Alvin, South Carolina, it's barely on the map. You got Hamilton, Courtney Brown, and Pearson Prelo, who played at Virginia Tech. He's now with the 49ers. All from that small town of Alvin, South Carolina. Cochran, deep for Johnson, who goes down. And there's no flag, and rightfully so. Great coverage by David Macklin. Suddenly it's 3rd down and 7.
Richie, and we watched Minnesota come down and score, get right back in this ball game. Then Penn State takes the ball, they score again, they go up by 2. This is when good teams start turning it up a level. You see a great play on special teams, pin Minnesota back, and now the defense puts them in a 3rd and long situation, 3rd and 7. This is why they're undefeated this season, Penn State.
Cochran, over Arrington. Hamner trying to get outside. One move. Out to the 25. He's got the first down. What an effort by Thomas Hamner. He had to avoid Brandon Short, who is an outstanding linebacker, and he did it.
Outstanding linebacker, and I think Thomas Hamner, he knows what type of situation Minnesota's in. They have to pick up these first downs now this late in the ball game. Hamner taking a little swing pass, just a super Brandon Short, and Fox able to bring him down just after he picked up the first down.
Six consecutive 3rd down conversions by Minnesota. Straight ahead is Hamner across the 30. He's out to the 31-yard line. Good ball game going on here. What else is going on, Reese Davis?
Rich down in Tuscaloosa, LSU and Alabama, 2nd straight game. Tyler Watt starts for Andrews down. Watt's a dart in there to Jason McCadley, his first career touchdown pass, and I guess Tyler enjoyed that because he did it again, finding the freshman Antonio Carter, and the Tides on top, 23-7.
Thomas Hamner has punctured 100-yard mark on 37 carries. Option with Cochran. Hamner, another spin move. This time, he's well short of the first down. Mac Morrison made the stop for Penn State. 3rd down and a long 4.
Every one of these 3rd down situations is critical for Minnesota to pick up now. Only 7 minutes left to go in this football game. They have to sustain this drive because they don't know how many more opportunities they're going to get.
6 consecutive 3rd down conversions.
And here comes the crowd back in this football game.
And here comes the blitz. Hamner could not make Morrison miss. Short of the first down, the Gophers will have to punt.
Rich, now Penn State's defense has played up to their ability. Now the offense has to take over and has to control the clock here and try to score.
Ryan Rindle from Minnesota. High snap. Brook Branch barely makes the catch at the 39-yard line. Number 2, Penn State with a 2-point lead over Minnesota. Minnesota 21. 6 minutes left. Kevin Thompson is back in the ball game at quarterback for Penn State. On 1st and 10. Swing pass. Watson is dropped for a big loss of 5 yards. Jimmy Wyrick and Sean Hoffman smelled that one out.
They smelled it out, and this defense has really played well for the Golden Gophers. they're all over Penn State. It seems like they know what they're doing before they're doing it.
Homecoming weekend. Minnesota, if the Gophers continue to play this ball, they won't schedule Glenn Mason for homecoming anymore. That's the mark of bringing a program back. And you're no longer a homecoming opponent. Thompson, over the middle, Fields the catch. Choppy Fields, right on the stick. Close to the first down. Willie Middlebrooks, the coverage and the stop.
Right on sticks, and that's Penn State's best receiver going against Minnesota's best cover guy. Just a slant route. Thompson able to drill this ball in there. An accurate throw. And Fields picks up the first down with that catch.
Nose of the football right at the 50. Minnesota needs a stop. Penn State, another score. And he spins his way down to the 47-yard line. Ben Mesra made the stop. Sean Hoffman, Ben Mesra, Aston Osai, the linebackers for Minnesota, have played well today. Hoffman's their leader, the junior out of Fargo, North Dakota. It's a good and a young defense. They'll have 7 guys back next year off of this unit. Saramelli, the fullback, trips at the 45. He had some room to go. Third down.
Rich, and now's the situation. You have 4 minutes to go in this football game. Time is now going to start to become a factor. So Minnesota probably would look to call a timeout. If Penn State's able to pick up this first down, they have to call a timeout somewhere in the next set of downs to preserve some of the clock.
Thompson looks at Tom over the middle, caught for a first down. Corey Jones. They'll move the chains. The clock will continue to roll. And Penn State marches on.
Minnesota not able to get any pressure on Thompson. He sits in the pocket, no one around him, able to set his feet. A super throw on Willie Middlebrooks, their best, Minnesota Gophers' best covered corner.
McCoo on a draw. Stop for no gain. Remember, Minnesota burned a timeout when they came to the line of scrimmage on a 3rd down and 1 when Thomas Hamner was hurt and out of the ball game. They have 2 left. As you can see, Kevin Thompson and the Nittany Lions have their full complement of 3. Straight ahead is Aaron Harris, and he goes nowhere. 2.5 minutes left. Do you think about using a timeout?
I think about using a timeout. I think if they hold them here, you have to call a timeout right at the end of the play. Penn State will, if they can pick up a few more yards, probably try to kick another field goal to go up 26-21. But the defense has to stop them first before they start worrying about calling a timeout.
An incompletion would do the trick as well. Thompson's going to call a timeout. They milk the play clock all the way down to 6. The Nittany Lions call a timeout. Deep breath, everybody. We're coming back to Happy Valley. Number 2, Penn State, a 2-point lead. 21. Number 2, Penn State against Big Ten menace, Minnesota. Minnesota, in their 3 losses, has taken some of the Big Ten's best teams down to the wire. And all 3 times, they've come up a few points short. And they're doing it again today. A big 3rd down. blitz is coming. Thompson, deep for Fields. Overthrew him. Gino, the incompletion stops the clock. It saves some time for Minnesota, and Penn State will bring on the field goal unit.
Rich, an outstanding play by the defense. I thought Thompson may have rushed his throw a little bit, just overthrew his receiver, Shafi Fields, on the post because he had the defender beat. Would have been 6 points.
You know what? The field goal unit is off. The punt team is on. So Penn State is going to punt the football. And it comes out to the 20-yard line. It would have been, Gino, a 51-yard attempt. Forney has the distance. But the Nittany Lions elect to punt it into the end zone. More college football coming your way on ESPN and ESPN2. First on ESPN2, Arkansas and Mississippi. And the big showdown in Knoxville. Number 4 Tennessee and Notre Dame on ESPN at 7:30 Eastern. Wyoming and Utah at 9 Eastern. That's tonight on ESPN and ESPN2. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Part of the Go Network. Go.com.
Rich, they need to go 80 yards, and we're not going to see this crowd quiet down until the final clock sounds.
Cochran with time. He's going to go for it all right now. Johnson has the catch at the 40-yard line. He's down to the 35. 46 yards. The Gophers don't have to go 80. They just need field goal position. They're down 2, and they're very close to it.
This is a heck of a football game here. Now I'm going to have to see if the Penn State defense, they are going to kick into the wind when they attempt this field goal. So you never know with these gusty winds and a field goal kicker.
Cochran throws it away. A wise choice by a senior quarterback. They do need some more yardage, Gino. It's a 52-yarder from this point.
And I'm sure Mason would like to score the touchdown before taking the 3 points and the field goal. Just lines up. Minnesota lines up in a trip set. Cochran kind of makes a half roll. All the receivers are going deep. He throws it up. And Johnson able to make a big play.
Arrington gets Cochran at the 40-yard line. Minnesota has to burn a timeout. And now the Gophers are out of field goal range.
And just when you think Minnesota has gotten themselves right in a position to win this football game, the Penn State defense and LeVar Arrington make a stand and say, hey, not so fast. See Cochran just dropping back, and they blitz Courtney Brown and LeVar Arrington from the same side of the field. Just like you said earlier, Rich, you may be able to block one of them on the one side of the field, but both of them, it's a tough, tough task.
Minnesota has a timeout left. Faced with 3rd down and 16. The first down is important, but not as important, I think, Gino, as at least getting about 7 to 8 yards and getting into long-distance field goal range.
Right. Their goal is to get at least to the 30-yard line if they can't get a first down, to put their field goal kicker in a position to kick a field goal. But like I said, the wind hasn't been much of a factor here today besides on the one kickoff and the gust. Anytime you're kicking a long field goal.
Dan Nystrom's longest this year, and he is a freshman, is 49 yards.
But that was a 49 yards inside. Not out here in this wind. This wind is going directly against them. Look at the flags are going against the Minnesota offense.
Huge play. Cochran to the sidelines, incomplete. And now Minnesota has to go for it all. It is 4th down and 16.
Rich, here's where they have to go for it all in the first down or go for it all and touchdown. We'll have to see if they're going to just throw in Hail Mary or maybe send 2 of their 3 receivers deep and one of the inside ones on an outcut to try to pick up the first down. And if Billy Cochran can read the defense, and complete the pass and pick up the first.
Joe Paterno has called the timeout. It was 2 years ago that Minnesota came to this very stadium as a decided underdog against not the #2 team in the country, but the #1 team in the country. It was 1997, Glenn Mason's first year as a Gopher head coach. And the Gophers had #1 on the ropes. Late in the fourth quarter, Minnesota led Penn State. A controversial non-call kept this drive alive. Curtis Enos cut the lead to 15-10. The Gophers had a chance to run out the clock. Thomas Hamner coughed it up. The Nittany Lions took it right back to the house, and Penn State, #1 in the country, escaped with a 1-point win. Glenn Mason at that football game wore a coat and a tie in deference to that man, Joe Paterno, just as a salute. He hasn't been on the sideline since without the coat and tie.
Rich, one thing that's great about this, you're seeing the best part of Penn State's team on the field trying to win this football game, and that's their defense.
Cochran, he'll throw it deep for Johnson. It's caught! It's caught! At the 12! It's deflected! First down, Penn State! Arlen Bruce made the catch! Johnson made the deflection! And the Gophers have to collect themselves. How about that?
Wow.
My goodness, 28 yards on the completion.
Cochran just throws it up, gives his receivers a chance to catch the football. His first guy Johnson didn't catch it, but able to tip it back to Bruce. There you see the tip. And Bruce comes out of nowhere as they will almost pick that ball up off the ground.
Thomas Hamner to carry, and Hamner is dragged down at the 15-yard line. David Fleischhauer made the stop, and now it's a waiting game.
Rich, I think what you have to do here, Minnesota, just move the ball to the center of the field to give the kicker a straight-on kick and not a kick from an angle on one of the hash marks. Save your last timeout with about 10 to 15 seconds left. Burn it, put Nystrom on the field, and try to win the football game with the last-second field goal.
Remember, Penn State has one of the best kick blockers in the country in LeVar Arrington. And Cochran is trying to get to the middle of the field. How many times have we seen Arrington leap over a pile and block a kick or make a big play?
We've seen a few, but I'm sure Jopa at this point does not want to rely on LeVar Arrington jumping 50 inches off the ground and blocking a field goal attempt.
It's third down, and Penn State has burned a timeout. They are out of timeouts. Minnesota has one left. And a freshman kicker out of New Hope, Minnesota, tries to stay loose and stay calm on the Gopher sideline. In a few moments, college football today. The biggest story in college football today is right here in Happy Valley. The Minnesota Golden Gophers are a field goal away from a huge upset.
Huge upset. Everybody likes to talk about those BCS rankings early. There's a lot of football to be played before the end of the season, as we see here today.
Cochran now will keep it and go down at the 15-yard line. And the Gophers are going to let the clock run down and burn that timeout. And Dan Nystrom will have a chance to put a huge dent in Penn State and Joe Paterno's national title hopes.
And Coach Paterno told us yesterday, Rich, he said Minnesota should be undefeated besides a couple missed field goals in their earlier games in those few three tight losses they had. So I'm sure he was not taking this team very lightly.
A win for Minnesota would also make them bowl eligible for the first time since 1986. It's the longest drought in the Big Ten.
And I'm sure that would be icing on the cake for Glenn Mason, turning the program around and getting his 6th win against the #2 ranked team here on the road at Penn State. It's awful tough to win up here. And I'm sure these fans are shocked right now. They've kind of been quiet all game, hadn't really got into it, and now the game's almost passed them by. Here's the ball game, folks.
#2 Penn State on the road. Dan Nystrom for the win. He got it! And the Gophers have beaten the #2 team in the country!